Alrighty, good morning everybody. It's Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. Let's go ahead and get started here for this morning. As you guys know, I like to go back and take a look at what happened yesterday and see where we are, where that brings us into this morning. So just give me 1 second here. I want to jump back and take a look. I actually put a short on right here off 38.50. We'll see if we can get the pullback. I want to get 5 points down to the FMA basically, and then I have some runners if it decides to continue to pull back. Otherwise, I might get a little stop right there. But let's take a look. So yesterday we had another situation where the market opened basically right off the OPL and just started pushing. So me being a perma bear in this type of market environment, I told everybody that even though it's pushing, I'm still considering getting short unless we have some strong market internals. Market internals, if I recall correctly, were very, very weak when we opened yesterday. In fact, I could probably look back to see where we were. But pretty sure, let me go back just so I'm not, yeah. So we opened very, very negative. Despite that, the market was pushing right out of the open. And then this little push right here, right back to test basically the high after the open there, I got all the clues I needed that we were going to break lower. And so I kind of hesitated. I was thinking about actually throwing some shorts on right there, and I didn't. And sure enough, it started breaking, broke below our moving averages here, came into the OPL and could not hold it, tried on two little tests, and then started breaking lower. And that's when I gave you that call to get long or get short off the back end of the FMA. So sure enough, the market came up right to the back end of the FMA. I think there was like no ticks of heat, and then we sold off. I got my first 10-point profit off, and then it just kind of, and then it came down and came right into our expected support. So it was a really good entry to start the morning there. And then from there, it's kind of interesting to note that we sat here and bounced around and could not get through our first expected area of support. It did peak below it, but never peaked below by more than 2 points. So it came down, tried to break through, could not break through. And actually, I want to mention one other thing here, and that is, and this is important, I'm trying to not just toot my horn, but also teach you what's going on here. So as it started selling off, we bounced up, and look where we found resistance on the first test here. This was about 10 minutes after my short. We got my fill, and then it bounced back up, and look where we found resistance. The overnight low all the way back here from about midnight, at least midnight Pacific, came right into it to the tick and failed. And then we came down, and like I said, we held our major or our minor eye level and our major fib line and did not break it by more than 2 points there and came up. And then I told you guys you could try the 200, which is what I tried, but you could also try this level once again. And sure enough, they came right up again. That's the low of the overnight session. Bulls came up, came right into it, and the bears slapped it right back down and came right back to the fib line. And then right back to our minor eye level, came back up. And then here's the interesting thing. We kind of stair-stepped here. So the first resistance was that 63.5. The next resistance, if I recall correctly, was this push, yes, right up to the next ledge right here. So if you follow this all the way across, and I even marked it for you here as we were coming back up. I told you we've got a swing here at 69.5 and the low of the day before. So that could act as resistance. Let's take a look what happened. Again, we held our fib line and our minor eye level. We came up and we hit right into that swing low that I marked before I left for the morning, because I left around 7:30 Pacific. And sure enough, we came right to that level. That could have been, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. That could have been another short you tried, and it gave you another push right back to the fib line. Let me update this to an outline. And then from there, again, we could not get through our expected support, first expected support level. Continued to try and break through, and then it break out to the upside for an attempt to break out. And from there, just kind of was messy, but again, came right back to our eye level, bounced off of it, peaked down through it once again, by 3 points and then bounced back up. So again, you can see even a minor level can be extremely relevant as far as a larger structure zone in the market. And then from there, coming into our overnight session for this morning, you can see we bounced off of that structure zone, came up, and then failed. And now we came down. And here's another amazing thing. We came down, and what was the overnight low so far? Basically, our next major eye level at 38.22. So I don't know. This stuff is just amazing. And so this is where we find ourselves this morning. We pulled back a little bit more. And remember, yesterday, our pre-market, we talked about all of the bearish signals we got from 39.22. So we did end up selling off yesterday. It was pretty sideways, but we did push to a lower low out of the open. And then at the end of the day, pushed a few points lower. And then going into the overnight session, we've now pushed down from the low of yesterday another 30 points. And we bounced right at our major eye level. So that multiple time frame bearish signal that we were watching has continued to follow through to the downside. And again, I'm holding on to my short here from 50. Had no heat on that trade at all. I was hoping we would get a 5-point push down to fill into the FMA, but I might get a stop here at break even. So, oh well. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the, let's jump up to the higher time frames. And I want to look at the daily, and then we'll start looking at the levels for this morning. So going up to the daily here, and again, there was the bearish divergence from the day before yesterday that we saw not only on the daily, but we saw on multiple time frames. So it's led to 2 days now of pullback. We'll see what happens this morning. But so far, that is the leading signal that we have from the daily perspective here. And yesterday's candle, what can we say? Obviously, a very bearish looking candle. So that's all we have here on the daily. Obviously, the major retracement levels up above we talked about yesterday and last week. And that 50% is exactly the high we made. That's that 39.22 that we hit and now are pulling back. Outside of that, really nothing else to mention here out on the daily chart. I'm going to come down now to my 4-hour. Just honestly, from a 4-hour perspective, just to see what 4-hour signals we have. Because the 4-hour time frame, as intraday traders, the 4-hour time frame is very powerful. So when you get a 4-hour signal, that typically can, especially if it's bolstered by the daily, or at least the 1 hour down below it, can lead to some pretty significant pushes. And so this morning, what we have is, we remember back 2 days ago, we had the bearish divergence from 39.22, their major retracement level. And then we came down in the overnight session that night, we got one little bullish signal, but it didn't hold and continued to sell off. And right now, remember where we bounced just now, a major eye level at 38.22. So at the major eye level, 38.22, we have a 4-hour bullish signal, and I believe, really quickly, let me look, and a 1-hour bullish signal. And there you can see there's 38.22. Bam, look at the huge wick on the hourly right into it. Bullish on the 1 hour and bullish on the 4-hour here. So this current bounce up would be expected given the two signals we see from there on the higher time frames. And outside of that, the 4-hour don't really have much else to mention right now. That's the most important thing I see, is that the 4-hour is showing that bullish signal right now from the overnight low. So let's go down to the 60-minute and see where we're at here. So this morning, what I want to talk about is the major push down from 39.22, the high from 2 days ago, where we have all the bearish signals from the higher time frames, all the way down to the low we just made in the overnight session, which was 38.2075. And when you do that, you get 3 major retracement levels back up. Those happen to be right here. We've got 38.59.5, 38.71.5, and 38.83/4. So those are the three major retracements back up. Outside of those three major retracements, there's some new things I did add to the chart. I'm not going to probably spend time talking about major and minor eye levels. So just assume if you see a major or a minor eye level, that's going to be relevant. And remember, these are major structure zones. You could see some pretty strong reactions, right? So I'm not going to mention those going forward this week. I just want to talk about some of the other things I've identified here. So what we have are the three major retracements. And then we have these swing lows. So if you zoom out and look at what we're pushing back up into right now, we're pushing back up into this major swing right now, which happens to be 38.50, the low of yesterday. That is the level that I just shorted here before I started the pre-market. It's still kind of playing out. We still haven't breached above, and we're still kind of chopping right here. I am just hoping for the sake of my trade, we do get that pullback and I at least get my first 5-point fill. So we'll see if that works out here. But if you just zoom out, you can see that there are 2 or 3 major ledges here. We've got the ledge we're testing right now, where I got short here at 38.50. We've got the next ledge up here, and I'll give you the exact number. It is 38.63 half. So I went ahead and let's zoom in here. I know it's a little confusing with all these lines. 38.50 is the major swing we're testing right now. If we push up just a little further, there's another major swing here at 38.63 half, and the close from yesterday happens to be 38.62. So I went ahead and shaded in this pocket 62 to 63 half as a potential resistance zone there. So be aware of that. And then if they push through there, we do have this next major swing sticking out here at 38.68. So 38.68 swing, 38.63 half swing, and then we have the close of yesterday at 62. And remember, right now we're basically testing into the other major swing that I wanted to talk about. And you can see I just kind of shaded in this whole little area right here is very interesting. We've got the close of yesterday. We've got a swing that I guess I highlighted here just a point below it. And then we've got the swing right up past this low of yesterday, which is right around, say, 51 half to 53. So this whole little zone here from 48 to 53 looks like a potential resistance zone. Of course, if the bulls are strong, they will end up getting through there, but that would make sense. And I think that's basically it. Everything else are either daily power levels or major and minor eye levels. So those all will be important. And I think that's basically it, bringing us here into the open. Of course, there is, if I go down to my 10-minute chart, I'll just look at this really quickly. There is the leg up from the overnight low. So if the market does end up pulling back from 50 here or from wherever, you can draw a fib up from the low of the overnight session, which was 38.2075, all the way up to wherever the high ends up getting to, and that retracement back down will probably be important as far as those three levels. So for now, if we end up holding 50 even and it starts to pull back, then these would be the fib retracement back down to the overnight low. So outside of that little pocket right there, I think that covers everything coming into the open. Course, and actually, let me just wrap things up. I know that I give you guys a lot of information. We talk about a lot of different relevant levels. So let's just talk about putting it all together here. We've got a 4-hour and an hourly bullish divergence from the overnight low. So far, that has led to about a 27-point push higher. We came right into 38.50 from about 38.21. So actually almost a 30-point push. That might be all that a 4-hour and hourly signal get in current conditions, given that the bears are strong. However, a 4-hour and an hourly signal can lead to some really big pushes. So again, the question this morning is going to be, do the bulls have enough strength? They have the signal that has led to a 30-point push so far, but do they have the strength to get through this first resistance zone and continue to push higher? And that's going to be the question. So every time we get a bullish push, I'm going to still be a little bit skeptical of it and might even be interested in fading it off of some of these areas up top. On the flip side of things, if the bears end up selling things off and we get down through 38.22, where we had a 4-hour and an hourly signal, it's going to negate that, and we could very well be coming down into some of these other levels below. Again, nobody knows where the market is going to go and bounce from. All we can look at is the areas that make the most sense. So if we do break through the overnight low and we get through our major support level here at 38.22, we've got all the same stuff below us that I've been talking about for a few days. So I'm not even going to spend time listing these out. You should already be aware of the shaded region and the major and minor eye levels and the major retracements back down, which I think I've already mentioned. So 38.12 is the final retracement of this smaller leg bounce. That would be the 61.8 retracement right at our minor eye level 38.12. And you guys know how relevant this little area between 07 and 12 has been in the previous trading sessions here. So that would be an interesting little area. But outside of that, all the levels above us and below us you should be aware of, especially after yesterday's pre-market. And if you have any questions, just go back to yesterday's or last week's, and I'm telling you, pretty much every level below us here has been talked about. So I'm going to wrap things up here. That should get us into the open. I'm still short from 38.50 here. Again, I wanted to see that 5-point pullback, and then I had runners for deeper here. And, the question's going to be, are the bulls going to go ahead and just rip on through now? We've tested it on 2 occasions. It's taken now just about 20 minutes, and they're still playing here, so might not end up holding. But that's where we're at, and there you go. Went right through. So have a good morning to those out on YouTube. We're going to get ready for the open here, and we'll see you tomorrow.